Howdy, I'm Gary, Dillon Precision's Human Manual. Today I've got some tech tips on the CP2000 case processing machine. You need to make sure that the lock ring that holds the shell plate down is tight enough. If it's loose, you'll have problems with variations in swaging of the primer pockets, which when you go to load the ammo will cause primers not to seat properly. The easy way to check is to push down on the edge of the shell plate at station 7. That's where the detent ball and spring are located underneath the shell plate. If it springs up and down like this one, then the lock ring needs to be tighter. To do that, tighten the lock ring by hand till it stops. Back it up about 1/8 of a turn. Now to make sure that that's correct and not too tight, hold the lock ring in place with one hand, with the other index the shell plate counterclockwise or pull it towards you on the left side. If it moves, then you are good. The shell plate lock ring should be periodically greased on the underside where it bears against the top of the shell plate. If you do this when you change calibers, that's enough. Otherwise, probably every 50,000 cycles if you're not changing shell plates. When you put the shell plate lock ring back on, these little tabs just need to be snugged to hold this ring in place. If you over tighten them, they will crack, and then it's possible that you don't notice that this ring loosens up and all of your dimensions will be off. So once they're tight, just barely snug them. It's not a small block Chevy. You don't need to torque them down at all. This is the detent ball that locates the position of the shell plate on the frame. When everything's apart, make sure that this ball springs up and down smoothly, and at least 1/2 of the detent ball or more should be visible above the top of the frame. If less than that's visible, if it's down like this, then your shell plate may not locate properly. If it isn't, it's either dirty or else the spring underneath it has collapsed and needs to be replaced. Whenever you change shell plates, and if you're leaving the same shell plate on periodically every 20,000-30,000 cases, take a pick and work it through the keyhole cutout at each position in the shell plate. You're doing that because tumbling media, stuff like that, can get forced inside of these grooves, and that'll prevent the case from being pushed all the way into the shell plate. Then the cases don't line up with your dies. So just periodically scrape those out. When you cycle the handle on the CP2000, be sure not to slap the handle up on the upstroke, because if you do so, centrifugal force will cause the shell plate to over-rotate, and then when you pull the handle down, the tool head pin hits the top of the shell plate, keeping the handle from going down all the way. If you do that enough, you'll actually peen the top of the shell plate or push the tool head pin out of the top of the tool head. Neither one is great.